Hi, welcome to Christie's Crafts. Today we'll make Christmas decor on a low-cost budget using Dollar Tree items. Please make sure if you like what you see that you click and subscribe. Let's get started. So the first craft is a red truck sign using Dollar Tree items and Cricut. So I was able to find this cute truck, and the trees. We're also using paint from Dollar Tree and some from Hobby Lobby. We also have this little canvas. It's 11 by 14 from the Dollar Tree, and you want to just remove everything, and then we're going to just give it a quick coat of white paint. I just did one coat just to kind of brighten it up and make it look a little nicer for this particular project. You can kind of see the difference without the white versus the white there. So I would highly recommend painting the canvas. And we're also going to add a few lines on the canvas once it dries to give it a little bit of a farmhouse look. So you'll see that later on. Kind of a shiplap look, but it's a little more rustic on the rustic side, a little messy. The Christmas tree was from Hobby Lobby. It came in a set of 6 for about $1.60, and I didn't want to use the little star on the tree, so I just cut that off. I did mix a few of my greens, so I don't have a specific green color that I used here. I used just a Christmas green acrylic paint along with a little bit of brown acrylic paint and a little bit of sage chalk paint, and got my desired color, and I gave my little Christmas tree 2 coats, and I used my heat gun to dry that so that I could do this craft or complete the craft a little quicker. So once you get the desired green that you're looking for, we're going to put this in the back of our little red truck on our sign. So it'll be kind of a Christmas tree farm sign. You see a lot of these at Hobby Lobby. You can see them at various stores, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, even Walmart I think has kind of a version of the little red truck with the Christmas trees. So I just used, this is just I think crimson red chalk paint from Hobby Lobby on the particular truck. The little truck is just a little MDF cutout from the Dollar Tree. And I actually found it in the wood section. It was not in the Christmas section. So once I painted the truck red, I got it to the desired color that I want. I don't remember if I went back for a second coat on this particular truck. And the nice thing is, if you get a little red paint where the wheels are, we're going to be painting the wheels black, so that'll cover up the red paint. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but to each his own, so please take your time on this particular craft. So once we finish the red, we will move to using our heat gun so we can dry that pretty quickly so we can move through this project. It always takes a lot of time with the paint for these crafts, but the nice thing is you can paint this whatever color to match your decor. I've seen them white. I've seen them, the sage green. You could do it black. So it's nice to be able to have different options depending upon your decor that you have in your home. So it looks like I did do 2 coats of the red paint. So once you have that completed, I think I moved to the wax. So we want to use the brown wax from Waverly for the back of the truck. And surprisingly, this is just MDF, but when you use this wax on this particular truck, it actually makes it look like wood. So I would recommend getting wax if you don't have it. You could use a brown paint, but it ends up looking like paint. And the back of this truck is actually supposed to be kind of a wood, a wooden look. So make it look a little more realistic. I would highly recommend using the wax. So then we're going to move to our black. And I did use a regular paintbrush instead of the foam brushes for this, just to try to stay in the lines the best that I could. And then at the end, I end up using a black furniture marker just to make sure that, the wheels were round and they looked nice, and it worked great with no problem. So I'm not the greatest artist, and so the furniture marker really did the trick. And you can buy those at Walmart, you can buy those on Amazon. I think I bought my package from Amazon, and it has several colors. It has brown, like a light brown, black, I think even a gray, just to touch up like scratches on your wood. So highly recommend that. I don't remember the cost on that. I'll try to put that in the description and give you that link. But I highly recommend buying those for your crafts. So once we are done with the wheels and everything is dry, then we can start assembling our sign. And I know that you can find these trucks at Hobby Lobby. Some of them have like hubcaps on them. There's a lot of options for these particular trucks. So I absolutely love these red trucks. I've never had red truck decor. I know a lot of people have that in their home for Christmas, and I even have a little bit of that for the fall in my home, but I really never have done it until I started making these crafts, and I absolutely love it and highly recommend it if you like this particular type of art or signs for your home. So now I'm using a little bit of the wax to make lines on my canvas, and then some of the lines didn't work out the way that I had hoped after I kind of wiped the excess off, so I just added back a little bit more white paint to get the desired look that I was going for. And then I used the paper towel to just wipe off the excess. And then I also used my heat gun on this and dried the canvas so that I could, glue the pieces on and assemble everything. So once you get everything dry and it's ready to go, then you can use your hot glue gun and glue your tree on the back of your truck before you glue it to the canvas. So make sure you do that. The nice thing about hot glue in the beginning is it's a little bit forgiving, but it's, it dries pretty quickly, so you have to be quick, but once you flip that over, you can make sure that you have it in the right place, but do it quickly. And I measured all of this beforehand, and I made my little sign on my Cricut once I measured and got the appropriate size. And for those of you that have a Cricut, again, for the 100th time that I've mentioned it. I highly recommend getting a Cricut if you don't have one, just so that you can have these more professional, high-end pieces in your home or decor for your home. But the good news is you can find, wording and things like that at Hobby Lobby, and utilize stickers. They have letters that are stickers where you can do this a different way. You could also try to freehand it. I know there's a way that you can print things on your printer and then use, I think it's like a graphite paper or something of that sort, where you can put the image on the canvas, and then remove that image, and then you can kind of color in or paint in the lettering. And I am not an expert on that. I've just seen that on some other channels, and I'm amazed at what people can do without a Cricut. So if you don't have a Cricut, there are other options, and I would just recommend seeking those out and finding the desired wording and the things that you're looking for. But this says Farm Fresh Christmas trees. I put established date 1925. That is the year that my dad was born. My dad's passed away, but in honor of him, he loved Christmas, and so I used his birth year for this particular picture to make it a little bit more sentimental. And I thought that would be fun for my family. I did find that the backing did not fit with that thick canvas, so I just pushed all the little pieces in, and my picture is complete. The frame also was from Dollar Tree. So there you go. All right, let's move on to number 2. So this is going to be a little Christmas tree that we're going to use some burlap and a little bit of styrofoam, all from the Dollar Tree. The actual burlap itself was from Hobby Lobby. It was normally, I think, $16, and it was 50% off, so I paid $8 for this particular burlap. But we're, of course, only going to be using a portion of it. So I just measured the desired amount that I would need to tie that at the bottom of my tree. And then I took a Dollar Tree Christmas tree, and instead of putting it on the stand, I actually just poked it right through the styrofoam and kept the plastic on. I also turned all of the greenery downward instead of upward for this particular craft. And I thought it made it look a little more expensive, a little more high-end, instead of the upturned, normal that you would see. And once I got it to the desired look, then I just used this snow that I got at Dollar General for $2, and I sprayed the tree outside and hot glued it to the styrofoam block from Dollar Tree, and made sure that it was sturdy, and added a little more glue, as you saw there. And then we're just going to wrap the burlap around the bottom of this particular tree. And the nice thing about this is you could keep this plain. They sell a lot of these types of trees at Hobby Lobby. Also, you can buy it at Home Goods, those types of things. But, they can be a little pricey. Sometimes they're reasonable, but, this is probably $2 and a little bit of change for the burlap. And then I also took a little bit of this berry garland from the Dollar Tree and wrapped that around the tree. But again, you could just keep it plain, and putting this on a fireplace mantle, adding this in with your decor and other items that you have or you've created, I have quite a bit of the red and black buffalo check in my basement living room area, and so I found the little star at the Dollar Tree. It was just an ornament, and I removed the piece where, you know, that you place on the top of the tree, and I just hot glued it to the top of the tree, and then I used some string or jute twine around the top of the tree, and there you go, all complete. You could also add lights. I also added a little ornament from Walmart as well. Okay, for the next two crafts, for 3 and 4, we're going to be using some items from Hobby Lobby and Dollar Tree. The pieces of wood, or the little logs, I did buy those at Hobby Lobby, and the little canisters, of course, are from Dollar Tree. They're from the fall, and I'm going to be painting one red, just all chalk paint. I find that the chalk paint works best on these tins, so you want to use the crimson red for Christmas, and then I used a gray, and I mixed just a white chalk paint. I think it was linen white, with black, with the ink black chalk paint, and made the gray that I wanted. And then I took the white paint and put that around the top and the bottom to make it look like snow. I just did it kind of messy, as you can see. And I used my Cricut to print out some decals for these particular tins. And we're going to put the logs in one, and then we are going to put another Dollar Tree Christmas tree in the other tin. So what I did is I found some Christmas tree images, like silhouettes of Christmas trees, like kind of tall and skinny Christmas trees. And I would put the link on here for you, but I actually kind of created this myself, and I took like different various images. I just looked up Christmas tree images, and then I just printed them out in white, and I measured to determine how many Christmas trees I would need to go all the way around this particular tin. So you'll see this in a second. And then I just used my little squeegee and squeegee those on the outside of this tin. And then I did that all the way around. So there's just white Christmas trees all the way around this particular tin. And you'll see something similar to this at like a Hobby Lobby or Home Goods, you know, to place Christmas trees in or that kind of thing. If this particular tin would have been, you know, the silver color, another thing you could do is, you know, print this off and, you know, just use white paint, still put the Christmas trees around, and then you could do it in reverse, and you could just paint white over it, and then you could use your weeding tool and weed off the Christmas trees, and then you would be able to see silver underneath. So there's some options here that you'll have. So once I get all of my Christmas trees attached, then we'll put the logs inside this particular tin, and we'll be done with this craft. I absolutely love this. It's kind of a winter wonderland type decor for your home. You know, instead of the standard red and green, which I also love, and you'll see that a lot in my crafts, I also like the white wintry wonderland crafts or decor for my home. I have some areas of my home that I prefer that particular look. So once I get that squeegeed on, then I'll show you how it looks. So So we'll use the logs you could try to put in just by themselves, but I found that some of them were the same size and I needed some to stick up a little higher than others, so I did end up using some of the foam or the styrofoam from Dollar Tree and place that in the bottom so that I could set those logs on top and, you know, get the look that I was going for. And I think, like I said, they cost $6. I think they were 40% off and they were $10 for the pack of those. So the red tin, we're going to be putting another image on, and it's also in white. And I did find this image on my Cricut design space, and I just printed it out and then stuck it on the front of this particular tin. And it shows like Christmas tree farm, and then it has like some wording on the bottom, like the type of trees, like a maple or, you know, something of that nature. I can't recall exactly. But I used the foam again in the bottom of the tin, and then I removed the stand from the dollar Christmas tree, and then I used a little burlap, but later on I decided to use a little bit of fluffy white. It's like a scarf that I bought at Dollar Tree to make it look like snow for the inside. And I also downturned this particular Christmas tree again, and I'd take it outside and use the snow and spray that to make it look flocked. And I end up decorating this particular tree with some Dollar Tree. I use a little bit of the jute twine around the top of the tin, make it a little more rustic. And then I found another star ornament from the Dollar Tree, and of course it's the black and white checked, buffalo checked. And then I hot glued it to the top of the tree. Sorry for the video, you can't see that, but I just hot glued it. I end up removing the little metal piece and just hot glue it to the top of the tree. The look, it just made it look a little bit more clean for the look that I was going for. But you could keep the metal piece on and just put it on the top of the tree. So there's the white scarf that I purchased at the Dollar Tree. It's nice and fluffy and looks like snow. And again, you could keep this tree plain, but I ended up using a little bit of pine cone garland around the tree from the Dollar Tree. It's like a gold color or like a bronze color. So I just glued the star to the top of the tree. And I took the bronze garland, looked, you know, like I said, more of that rustic look is what I was going for here. But again, you could, whatever your color scheme is, they also, I think, had silver and white garland at the Dollar Tree in the pine cones, the little tiny pine cones. And then I also used some of their lights, their fairy lights at the Dollar Tree. And these are just, they look blue on camera, but they're just the white fairy lights. The bright white instead of the warm white. And then I just once I put the batteries in and everything, I just put the little box in the back of the tin, and you can't even see it. It's kind of underneath the white scarf that I added. And then I also found these little flocked berries or cranberries or little Christmas berries, at the Dollar Tree in a bag, and I just glued those on the tree. So here's the final crafts. All right, number 5. So here is a bell that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. It's just a plastic bell. They come in several colors: green, red, silver, and gold. And I bought this red one. And all I'm going to do here is hot glue the twine around the bell from top to bottom. And I saw this, well, a bell like this. It was a larger bell, but I saw it at Home Goods and absolutely loved it, but of course the price was a lot more than I would want to pay. So this particular jute twine is from Walmart, and I think it was around $4 for several hundred feet of it. And of course I only used a portion of it for this particular bell, and I just end up, putting a little bit of hot glue as I go, and you just want to take it all the way around to the bottom of the bell, from the top to the bottom. You could also do the bottom to the top, but you want to cover it so you cannot see any of the red on the bell. And I did keep the handle on here, but at the end you'll see I do remove it. It's a little tricky. You have to have some wire cutters to remove that, and I end up just adding a twine loop on the top of it so that way it can be hung, or it can sit, on a shelf or something like that to display. So it took a little while. You have to be a little patient with this one, but once you're done, you just want to make sure that you glue everything to that plastic bell so that it stays and secure and it's snug. And then once I remove that piece, like I said, I just added a piece of jute twine to the top to make my loop. Use a pair of scissors, watch your fingers. That glue is super hot and it will burn you good, and I've had numerous burns on my fingers from the glue gun, but I just keep going. And then I used a little greenery from another ornament that I used that like part of the ornament for another project, and then I removed the little, I think it had a burlap bow on it, and I just removed that piece, and then I just hot glued the greenery to it, to the bell, the top of the bell. I added a little bit of my garland, the little red garland that I got from the Dollar Tree, just a few pieces of that to the top of the greenery. And then I also add a white and black buffalo check bow to the top of this bell. And again, you can change this up to match your decor depending upon what color scheme you're using. You can use that particular color or particular ribbon for the top of the bell, and I just hot glued that to the top, and all done. All right, for the next DIY, I purchased this little chalkboard, cork board from Dollar Tree, and I used my Cricut and printed out a cute little saying about hot chocolate, and I just squeegeed that right to the little chalkboard, and I did it in white so it would look like I drew it in with a piece of chalk. And then I added some greenery again from a Dollar Tree ornament that I used for another project, and I removed all the pieces that I didn't want to use, and I hot glued that to the top. And I'm going to use this for my hot chocolate bar in my kitchen. And I just hot glued the greenery to the top of the sign. And then I added a small red and white bow to the greenery. Nice and simple, super quick and easy, and absolutely adorable. So once this is complete, you'll be able to see the finished project. And I mean, this literally took me like 5 or 10 minutes. Besides, there was additional time, of course, with the Cricut to print out the sign, but it was just a sign that I found. I just looked up hot chocolate and found this image, and I loved it for my hot chocolate bar, which are really popular right now. And I'll be making another craft in this video to go along with my hot chocolate bar. All done. All right, number 7. And now this is pretty creative, I thought. So at Target in the dollar spot, they have some boxes that they are selling that are so hot you cannot find them. And they come in green, red, and white. And they have like 6 compartments or little sections sectioned off so that you can use them for various things. You could use them for gifts. You can use them for your hot chocolate bar. And I decided to purchase this little Christmas tree that you just saw from the Target dollar spot for $5. And it's a pretty heavy wood. It is a sign, so you would be able to hang it, or it's a shelf, I should say. You can hang it on your wall. And I decided that I am going to make my own box out of this particular Christmas tree for my hot chocolate bar. And I am using a little bit, it's actually a gift bag from the Dollar Tree. It was $1 for 2 bags, and I just chose this particular one. I thought it was cute because I'm using a tree, and I just cut out the size that I needed so that I can glue that into the bottom of the shelf, or in this case it's going to be a box. And I just used the same package had this particular bag, and it just says Merry Christmas in the same color green. So I decided to use that part of the bag for the middle section, so it will say Merry Christmas. And then I just kind of traced, I did the best I could, you know, I just kind of eyeballed it, but you could try to trace it. I would recommend not using the back of the tree for this, because the interior of each of these sections is a little smaller than the back of the tree. And so if you do that, you'll have to trim the pieces down. So I just kind of held it up and found the spot and then cut out the pieces that I needed. And we're going to use a little Mod Podge on this to kind of stick it into the bottom of the box once we paint the box, so that we have kind of a nice clean space to put our hot chocolate and our marshmallows and anything that you desire to make your hot chocolate bar delicious. So you'll, at the end of this, I'll show you the things that I put in the box. So like I said, once you cut all of these out, you just want to glue them in the bottom with Mod Podge after you paint the tree the color that you want. So I did remove the hanger from the back. I just used a little screwdriver and unscrewed the screws so that it would sit on my counter. So next, I mixed up in my desired green because I didn't have the correct green for my project. So I mixed that all up, and it ended up being a little darker once I painted it on the tree, and I end up using a little bit of the bright Christmas green on top of it to give it the color that I was after for this particular project. I really was using those boxes that are hard to come by. I kind of use them for my inspiration here. So I just paint the outside of the Christmas tree and then the edges of the Christmas tree to give the look that I was going for. I think this is a really creative and cute way to use these Christmas trees. And super fun. I have a 4-year-old tomorrow actually, and he is so excited about hot chocolate that I think he could drink it all day, every day. He told me that it's the absolute best. So this is a fun project to do so that we have a fun place to go and in our kitchen and make yummy hot chocolate for the cold winter months. So we're really excited about it. So like I said, it was a little darker than I had hoped, so I end up painting over it with a lighter green, and I was able to get the desired color I was looking for. But of course you can do this tree any color you want. You could do white, you could do red, you could even do the wax or a stain. You could do a gray. I mean, anything that you have that you want to use to match your decor. So this is where I add that brighter green, and that brighter green on top of the darker green, it actually dried a lot darker than I thought it would, and it was actually the perfect green in the end, at least for my decor. I have a lot of Ray Dunn mugs, and I have a lot of red and white mugs, and I thought that the green would be perfect next to the mug since it's a hot chocolate bar. And I know probably a lot of you out there drink coffee as well, but I am not a coffee drinker or a tea drinker really. Maybe herbal tea every once in a while, but you could do a number of things. You could even use this for a coffee bar as well, and put all of your fun flavored creamers and all those types of things, stir sticks for your coffee. You could do that as well. But for us, we are sticking with hot chocolate. That is the best, what my little boy told me. So I used a paper towel and kind of rubbed that in to get the color that I was looking for. And I tried to be very, very careful so that I would not get the green on the inside of the tree, because I wanted that more natural look. And then I also use my Cricut, and I made some wording for the front of the Christmas tree so that when it sits on the counter, it has some things about cocoa and blankets and those types of things for the cold weather. Super cute. I think it even says like reindeer sleigh rides or something like that. And I kind of looked at those boxes that they sell at the Target dollar spot that I could not find. And I'm sure some of you have found them out there, but I could not find them. So I improvised. And I think once this is done, I actually think it's much cuter than those boxes. A little more unique. So we used the Mod Podge, and then I ended up putting the Mod Podge on the top of each piece of paper that I put inside, and I really think it was a mistake. It gave, even though it's a matte colored Mod Podge, and I know it kind of seals the paper in, but I was really kind of going for that brown paper bag look, and I thought it would dry a lot drier looking than I anticipated, and it ended up not being the exact desired look that I was going for. Once it dried, it still kind of stayed more of a shiny instead of the matte. I guess, with the paper bag, that was just the way that it ended up drying, but it still works and it's still super cute, and it worked out just fine in the end, but maybe not my exact desired look. So I would recommend not putting the Mod Podge on the top of the paper, but you could use any paper for this. You could even use cardstock, or if you have plaid paper, or Christmas paper, wrapping paper, even gift bags you could cut up like I did. There's various gift bags that you could use to match your decor. So now I'm getting ready to put all of my Cricut wording on the front of the Christmas tree. Hot chocolate box for my hot chocolate bar. Yeah, so it says reindeer sleigh rides, and then it says cocoa blankets and cookies. So cute. I absolutely love this. It's probably my favorite out of all of them. And I wish you guys could leave comments, but apparently, I guess when you don't have 1,000 or more subscribers, I cannot turn the comments on. And so please forgive me for that, but I'll get there eventually. I'm getting closer. So please, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit the like button. And share it with your friends too. All right, number 8. So this DIY, I found these silver, I guess, they look like tree branches from the Dollar Tree, and I purchased 6 of them. And then I have, of course, the styrofoam block and the burlap. And we are going to make our own tree out of these little stems or branches. And we are going to use zip ties and tie them together. And then we are going to place them in the block and then wrap the burlap around that. And I purchased a tree, a little Christmas tree like this, from Pottery Barn about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And I think I paid $35 to $40 for the little tree. It's going to be exactly the same size as this particular tree that I'm making. And I wish that the tree, when I move the branches out, I wish that it would have looked a little bit different. But the nice thing about these types of crafts is, again, you can make these crafts, to fit your decor. But I just, put the tree into the styrofoam block, and then I just moved the branches where I wanted them to make them look like a tree or a small tree. And it's nice and shiny. It's silver. They also have gold And so if you have gold decor, you could do this with gold and maybe use a different material to wrap around the bottom of the tree. But I found that the burlap, it's identical to the tree that I purchased from Pottery Barn. And it cost, I mean, when you talk about a fraction, it's literally $6 for the branches, and then a few, maybe less than $1 for the burlap or the portion of the burlap, and then $1 for the little styrofoam block that you see there. So I just cut that to the desired size, and then I used a piece of jute twine and wrapped that around and tied that together. And you know, this kind of goes back to that decor, that wintry Wonderland. You know, it's silver. You could tie a bow, you know, like a colored ribbon or something around the bottom as well, but I just wanted this to look really simple, and it's very much like the other tree that I purchased at Pottery Barn. So very cute. That's my decor. So right around $8, $7.50. All right, for the next DIY, we're going to make a Grinch ornament, all Dollar Tree. I was able to use a piece of paper and make a little cone shape so that we can pour the little beads that I found. They're little styrofoam beads, or they're the size, you know, like little balls. I found 2 different colors that are the color of the Grinch, and then I used my Cricut to print out the face and Merry Grinchmas to put on the back. And I have my best friend of almost 40 years here with me for this particular craft, and it is for her. I think I talked about the Grinch in another one of my videos, and we're just going to pour all of those beads inside the glass ball ornament that I purchased from the Dollar Tree. You just open the top and pour those in, and 2 bags filled the large ornament. And then I was able to hot glue the top back on, and then I just kind of shook it up and made sure that all the 2 different colors you know, were even throughout. And then my best friend Carrie held the ornament while I squeegeed on the face. And it's a little tricky doing this because it's a globe, and so I would recommend just really taking your time when you put on any type of image onto the globe. But I was able to squeegee that on, and then we added the yellow to for the eyes, since the Grinch has yellow eyes, and that was just part of the image when I printed that out. Sorry, I was a little bit off camera there, but in the end you'll be able to see the finished look. So able to put the yellow on the eyes. And then I placed the Merry Grinchmas on the back of the ornament. If you have a place to sit this, or you know, something that you can sit it in where it doesn't move around, that would be preferable. But thankfully I had my best friend there to help me out, and it was a gift for her, so she had a lot of fun helping. All right, so once that's done, that's what it looks like. So cute. And for the top, we're going to take a red ribbon that has some little white dots on it, and we're going to tie that around the top Super cute with the Grinch. And I just tied it in a little knot, and then she can hang it right on her tree. All done. So cute. We thought about putting a bow on the front, but we felt it was a little too much, so we skipped that. So cute. All done. All right, final, the last DIY. So we're going to do kind of a wintry Wonderland scene, all from the Dollar Tree, except for the reindeer was from Walmart. So I just took apart this little tree decoration from the Dollar Tree in the Christmas section, and I found the word peace. There's also some little blocks that we use to stick it to the stand or attach it to the stand. And then, of course, we have our various paint colors. Of course, you can do any color that you desire. But I ended up cutting the star off again off of the tree that I used, like I used in the other DIY. And we're just going to paint all of these different trees and paint the stand white because of kind of that wintry Wonderland. And then I took hot glue and filled the holes, but you could also use like a putty to fill the holes in the different ornaments in the tree from the hangers that were attached that I removed. The small trees that you see there were 2 ornaments from the Dollar Tree, and so they were 2 for $1. They're kind of like a shimmery tree. And we're going to add a little white paint to those to kind of brighten them up a little bit as well, just along the edges of the tree. But I just painted the stand as just a piece of wood from the Dollar Tree in the wood section. Like I said, I just filled all the holes with a little bit of hot glue. And then that way when we paint it, it'll look like one piece and not have that hole sticking out. So we're going to use, for this particular project, we're going to use a gray, a sage color, white, and the wax color for all of the different pieces that we have for this project. So once that hot glue dries, then we can take off the excess and just make sure that it's nice and smooth. And I just used one of my tools from my Cricut and did that. You could also use some sandpaper, but you do want to make sure that it's ready to go for your paint. So the first thing I did is I painted the edges of the tree just to kind of look like the tree was snowed on, even though the trees were white. Like I said, they look a little darker than the bright white on the stand. Gave the stand a second coat of paint, and then I finished the little trees. So, and you don't have to do this particular step. This is just what I decided to do with this particular project. So we want to just let those dry. I did not do 2 coats, I just did 1 coat. I just made sure and got all the edges. And then the tree, I mixed the white and the black ink and got the desired gray color that I was looking for the tree. The largest of the trees, and that tree was $1 at the Dollar Tree as well. It's just one tree, and it is wood. It's a real thin wood, but a really nice, cute Christmas tree. And I did do 2 coats of paint, and then I used the sage color on one of the trees. I did 2 coats on each of the trees for this project. And make sure you get the sides. You want to just get the sides of the tree, because all of these trees are going to be standing on this particular project. So you want to make sure and get all the edges. And again, you can do this different colors. You could do all of them in white, and then you could use a little wax and, you know, add that to the edges and make it look a little rustic. But in this particular craft, we're going to use these colors for this project, and then you'll see what I do with the white and the gray that we add back to the trees. So I just did that second coat of sage. And then I painted one tree white. And of course the edges. And my heat gun to speed it up. Alright, so once everything's dry, then we're going to take the wax and we're going to do the peace sign along with the tree, one of the trees, and the reindeer. Even though the reindeer is brown, we're going to go ahead and darken it up just a little bit for this project. And then once you're all done, you want to wipe the excess off. So you can use a paper towel or a baby wipe to do that. And then once I did this to the peace sign, you want to make sure and do all sides of this, because it is going to be glued to that stand. So, you know, depending upon where it's sitting, you know, if you set this in the center of your table, you would be able to see all sides of this particular sign. So you want to make sure that all the nooks and crannies and all sides are completely covered with the wax. You could use a stain, you could use paint, you know, like I said, any color that you choose will work for this project. So I did a second coat of the wax on the tree, and then I used the paper towel to wipe off the excess. And then I went back and just double checked my work to make sure that I got the entire peace sign. So I used my heat gun again just to dry everything and make sure that it was ready to go. And the nice thing about the wax is it dries really fast, so don't worry too much about that. But the paint, of course, takes a little longer to dry. But the heat gun helps. Alright, so now I take white paint and I add that along the edges of the colored trees. So I do the gray, the sage, and the wax colored tree. I just kind of freehand, you know, where I want those brush strokes to make it look a little bit snowed on. That wintry wonderland. And I wiped off the excess a little bit and then added a few back in. You know, the nice thing is if you mess up, just add the original color back in to cover up any spots that you do not like, and then you can kind of go back in and get the desired look that you're after. I did see something similar to this project at Hobby Lobby, and this is just my take on it. So that's where the inspiration came from. The white tree, I did put the gray around the edges, just so that it would blend in. And I only did the edges on that particular one. And now we're going to add a little block, these little building blocks from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of like 40, I think. And I just glued those on so this particular tree would have a little bit more height, because I wanted the various heights for the stand. And then I just used the wax and did the trunk the color that I desired. And then I just used my heat gun, got everything good to go, did some final touch-ups, and then we will assemble this craft to the stand. So I added those little blocks to the back of all the trees with hot glue. Got my stand ready. That right on the back, right towards the bottom, so that you can just glue that right to the stand and it has some stability. And then I just held up my trees to try to figure out the desired look that I was after. And then you just want to hot glue each tree as you go. And then I did add the peace sign on the other end so that I could add. I put another one of those blocks in the middle of that reindeer, and then I just hot glued that to the tree itself so that it would stick out a little ways. And then figured out where I wanted the next set of trees. And you might have to play around with it a little bit, but what you're looking for is the different heights and then the different colors so that you can tie everything together. So I just hot glued those. And then the little white trees, because that came in the pair, I just hot glued the back of the tree and then hot glued that to those wooden trees instead of putting hot glue on the bottom of those trees. They were really tiny on the bottom and I didn't think there would be much stability. So once you have those glued in place where you want them, I used a little bit of the spray glue or adhesive from the Dollar Tree. It's Elmer's glue, actually. It's a spray glue. It sprays purple and dries clear. And then I used a little bit of the fake snow to make it look snowed on. And then I just added snow where I felt that it needed to be. And then I just tapped off the excess and it is complete. All right, so that's the end. Thank you so much for watching. I hope all of you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope that this video gives you some inspiration for your home decor. High-end home decor at a low cost using Dollar Tree items, mostly Dollar Tree, some Walmart. But I hope you have happy holidays, and I hope to see you next time.